Arts family, how are we this evening? Welcome to the party. It is Thursday night, live. Hello. Let's see who's going to join us tonight for Thursday Night Live. Vina's here. Vina, Jennifer, Melissa, this early in it? Wow. You only working a half day, Melissa? Michelle, Angie, Lisa, we're getting the whole country from coast to coast here. And hey, Heather. Brad is joining too. Cheers, Brad. I know Brad's got his glass. Welcome, everybody. How are we doing tonight? Good evening, Miss Adele and Dazzle. Oh, I was going to have a dog with me. Let me see if Fifi's around. Fifi was going to come in with me. Fifi sleeping? Oh, Fifi is sleeping. I am sorry. No Fifi tonight. I thought I was going to have Fifi, and Fifi is sleeping. Fifi didn't want to join the party. Jennifer! Ah, you covered the water bill. What'd you do? Turn the water off, Melissa? That is sort of the highlight of, I haven't written my response to the person who bought the American Girl doll and paid for it and everything else, and then 3 hours after I shipped it, emailed me telling me how to package it, including what gloves to wear and how to handle the doll while I packaged it. So I'm sure you will have a creative response from me, Melissa, on how of course I did all of that for her and the American Girl doll to cheer her child up. But I was thankful for the order, so I am thankful for whatever business, whatever we can put in the register. We had lots of home decor small orders tonight, so I was excited of that from Cassandra's video earlier today. So that's exciting. Hey, Jennifer. Jennifer, you and Kurt will have to definitely tune in tomorrow night. I'm going to have time tomorrow night to, I'm going to have something special for you and Kurt tomorrow night. Hey, Eric's joining us tonight. We're all in there. We're all in this together. Yes, Jenny Walker. That is a very nice way of putting it, Adele. Yes, I am glad I have such helpful customers. Yes, your stay-at-home discount was great. Melissa got one today. A customer, hey, Kitty, that asked today. No, I am on scotch tonight. Cassandra stocked up on, there was extra scotch at Costco when she went, so I have scotch is what I am allowed to drink. Tomorrow night, I think I will break into the gin, and I've got a special cocktail for you tomorrow night, and I can't wait to share it. Tomorrow I'll have an office day, I think, and I'm actually at my desk and try to catch up on things. And I will have time before I go live to make a special cocktail that I've been planning, and I've been thinking of you and Kurt with it. But that's tomorrow night's special. Don't want to give away tomorrow night's thing. And it's probably overly ambitious to me the way my days have been going lately and how much my phone has been going and messages have been going to think that I will have much, if any, time before I go live, because literally I had time tonight to throw water on my face, pour my drink to make it look like I was awake tonight, and hop on here with you because the clock was striking 8. So I am so glad so many of you have joined us tonight. Good evening, Scott. How are you? I actually thought of you today, Scott, because my friends at the Peanut Butter Cup place were the whole family was working the line. They got the kids back to college. They were all working the production line, and they get a quick video of them on the production line showing the family business making fresh peanut butter cups on the production line. So I did think of you earlier today when that video came across my feed. But you didn't come tonight probably to hear about about my peanut butter cups. Unless I'm sending, there was no peanut butter cups in the stimulus bill. I can confirm that in the bill that passed the Senate. And I'm guessing you guys want to know more about what's really happening in the bill and what's going on. So let's start like we've been starting every night. Yes, Scott, they are working and they're delivering door to door if they can. Whoever, they're making local deliveries to people's houses. Anybody that's buying in their area, they deliver to me. If I was ordering, they would. They're just trying to keep anything going. So it is really great that they are. So let me start with my normal, what's becoming my normal question as we look at today. What are we grateful for, people? What in the world are we grateful for? Because there is lots of good in this world. I know Melissa is grateful that her customers are looking for a stay-at-home discount. But what are we grateful for? She's probably more grateful that she paid the water bill today or was able to pay for that. So tell me what we're grateful for in our life today on this Thursday evening. What are we grateful for? I know there's a slight delay in Facebook Live, so you think about that and plug it into the comments there, what we're grateful for. Yeah. Yes. Cassandra is grateful that she just walked the dogs and it smells like somebody is grilling hot dogs. It is not me that is grilling hot dogs, but that is a sure sign of spring, and it is a little springier out there tonight. Actually, it's warmer outside than it is in some of my stores today because I've got the heat turned down to 50. Grateful for family and friends checking in with you. Employees, grateful for NARTS. Yes. Home cooking. Yes, I like your home cooking too. That husband of yours can really cook. NARTS. Technology. Best staff. The live videos do work. Yes, I do. Wonderful members, your family, the support and inspiration you are all giving us. Technology, yes, it is helping us. Neil, yes, a sunny day today, yes. You Zoomed with all the staff today and they're okay. Understanding employees. Those are great things to be grateful for, and I'm glad to hear you all share how grateful you are. Well, I want to share my starting inspiration for you today is small business is not for the faint of heart. It's for the brave, the patient, the persistent. It is for the overcomer. That is all of us. We are the overcomer. Where's my sheet of tragedy? Okay, it is for the overcomer. It is for all that we overcome. And we are all overcoming things. We're all going to get to the other side of this. We are going to march right through it. Pandemic, what pandemic? We're going to march right through it to the other side. We're going to do it together. Who got their NARTS newsletter today? I saw that Adele got the April, no fooling, she got the April edition out early. I was like, wow. I feel like I just signed off one of my unknown presidential duties that people may not know that the president of NARTS has to do is they have the highfalutin job of editor of the newsletter, and I have to read it. So I often lose track of which edition I'm reading when and everything else. But the NARTS newsletter, if you have not read it, okay, please read it. This is an excellent issue. There are times in this issue, okay, that you might need a tissue. So keep a box of tissues close by, okay? But this is an issue about overcoming things. This is an issue about helping you get to the other side. This is an issue about eye of the tiger, survivor, making it to the other side. It's a lot of the articles in this are not the articles that your board and team had ready for you for April. I can tell you that. They asked to go back to the drawing board. They took time to come back with something extremely timely that really mattered. So please take the time to read this newsletter. We all put a lot into it, but there's a lot in there for you in this month's edition for you. So please take that, enjoy that. If you have not read it, I always read it, and well, I mean, I read it in advance anyways, but I always print off copies for all my stores, and this edition will be there when my team is back. So they will get it because I print it for all my locations for them. So that is what's happening there. Okay, deep breath, sit. Proofread, yes. Uh-oh, Kitty, did you proofread it and find something? Oh, wow, Adele, I did not know that that was the reason. That is awesome. I love, and this goes to a lot of my message all the time. And I've talked about this before, but in times of struggle, it's all, in good times and in bad, it's about relationships. It's all about people. You guys have been talking about how you're grateful for your people, okay? And how your people get it, okay? And get what we're all in this together, okay? The company that digitized our newsletter saw how timely it was and hopped right on it, okay? They've never done it so fast, according, from Adele there, okay? That is so important, and that happens because of relationships and because of how personal. When you get into some of these articles in this newsletter, you'll see how personal it is, and how we've all made it, and we're going to make it through this too. Getting through this crisis is all about your relationships. All the people that you work with, your staff, your landlords, your consignors, your customers. It's all about being real with them. It's having those personal relationships with them that gets to the other side. This is what becomes the difference between good, hearty, honest relationships and best price. I know some people that only shop for the lowest price, okay? And there's always somebody that'll beat the lowest price, okay? There's always a race to the bottom. And mine is always a race to the quality of relationship. If I can't have a quality relationship based on integrity and mutual respect, then I can't have a relationship with you. But I am all about that. I am all about the people. And that's what carries us through. And that's what's been carrying me through all the conversations. I mean, you have no idea, some of what I've heard. So that is, yes, Kitty. Well, again, this is one of those jobs, the jobs I've had as president, nobody ever told me what I was getting into, much less that I got to edit the newsletter. Okay, that was a surprise too when I was president, when I first became president of the association. So proofreading, but relationships is everything. That is what's going to carry you to the other side. The relationships with your team, the relationships with your consignors, the relationships with your customers, relationships with your landlords, relationships with your bank, okay? These are things that carry you through. These are things that get us to the other side because they believe in you. They believe in the real person behind the business. And that's what's going to end. And your integrity and the way you carry things and lead is how you will carry this to the other side. It's not about how you drink scotch, and but that doesn't hurt either these times. So I guess most of you want to know about the CARES Act, okay? And so there's three main parts of the CARES Act that Kathleen, Miss Alaska, joined us. Wow. How's John doing? Is he still home? Is he going back out fishing yet? I was thinking of you guys the other day because they opened fishing season early here. And I don't know, as part of the executive orders, they opened fishing season early. And I don't know enough about fishing to do that, but I did think of you and my friends in Alaska and your husband, the fisherman. Back to the the CARES Act. Okay, that passed the Senate last night and will pass the House tomorrow by a voice vote. Hey, Dana. With scotch, yes. Well, wait until you see my drink tomorrow night, Kathleen. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You will totally appreciate my drink tomorrow night. Considering you're one of the people that's grabbed me out of the hallway and said, "Come in here and answer my question," and given me a drink in your hotel room. but that's a whole nother story. Your husband was there. It's okay. Or does that make it worse? I don't know. Hang on a sec. I digress. Let's get back to the topics here before we have too many people wondering about me. Okay, so there's three main areas of the CARES Act that I think you guys want to know about, and so I'm gonna be hitting those. If there's others, I'll make sure I cover them at another point. But there's three main things that are very, very important for retailers in the CARE Act. So first, I'm going to talk about QIP, okay, QIP, which is the technical tax correction that changed in the tax reform bill that was passed a few years ago, in the Tax Reform Act. They had a typo, for lack of a better term. That's all it was a typo. But typos in bills become law, okay? This is unintended consequences. And I can assure you, in this 800-page bill, there will be unintended consequences that is going to pass tomorrow. But in the legislation that passed the Tax Reform Act, it didn't allow for depreciation for retailers. It required you to depreciate things over 39 years instead of 1 year, okay, because of a typo. And that, in this CARE Act, has been rectified. Not only has it been rectified moving forward, it's rectified retroactively. So you can actually refile tax returns, okay, and get refunds. Yeah, well, I can't see John working for you either, Kathleen, but that's a whole nother story. At least he cooks. But you can retroactively go back and accelerate the depreciation, refile your returns, and get a refund. That's a lot of money on the table for a lot of you, because a lot of you didn't stop making renovations or capital improvements to your business over the last few years. So, like, I need new floors, which I've put off, but now as part of this, I can do that and depreciate those right away. So any of those capital expenses that you've done that you didn't depreciate, your accountant can go back for you and refile those returns, and a refund will come right out to you, which is really, really nice. So there's a lot of people that's going to help, and it's going to help right away. That'll be very quick. The other part of this that I've had a lot of questions, concern, etc. on is the unemployment benefits that are going on. Okay, so with the unemployment benefits, people can get their unemployment from the state. Okay, and between now and July, they will get a $600 a week, essentially a crisis bonus. And a lot of you have been nervous that, well, then why the heck, if they're going to make more than they'd be making for me? I mean, even my banker's wife, one of my banker's wives he's like, she's going to make more while she's on unemployment than she makes in her job, talking about his wife. And that is true in the short run, okay? The qualification to that bonus is they have to return to work when you call them back to work. So this is not they can say, oh, hey, I want to stay on unemployment through the end of July when the extra $600 runs out. They can't do that. As soon as they're called back to work, they have to come, or they're forfeiting the unemployment. So that is a key provision in this. Okay, with that, and so it is, you have to understand that a lot of this bill is about greasing the economy to make it move faster. Okay, it's all about putting money into the economy, putting money into people's hands, and get money into the hands and get them spending it. So it's all about greasing the economy. And that's what that does is with that, but they have to come back to work, because part of this another part of this bill is getting you to re-employ your people, okay? And keep in mind that in a lot of, and there'll be a waiver for it in the last bill, but the whole idea is to get people back on actual payrolls. The government does not want to be the employer of choice, okay? So this bill is all about getting people back on your payrolls. So one of the things that people have been concerned about is the enhanced leave provisions and all of that. Well, it doesn't really apply. You can waive out of it, and the actual formal waiver, I think, is going to be out next week. As soon as it is, I will publish it for everybody. But a company under 25 employees can pretty much be exempted from that without much heavy lifting. So all the extra requirements in that under the enhanced leave and paid sick time can be exempted for a company of overwhelmingly the majority of members of NARTS and most small retailers. So you don't have to worry about that. One of the things that you do need to worry about where if you offer benefits, okay, and this is one of the things I was on with a labor lawyer today, was one of the people I was on with today, getting updated. And the term layoff versus furlough has been a big topic because to most of us, never having to do this before and not run a labor union or anything else, layoff, furlough, tomato, what's the difference, right? Well, if you offer any kind of benefits, okay, if you offer vacation, if you offer paid sick time, if you offer health insurance, the term layoff versus furlough matters, okay? And one of the key areas that it matters is a furlough is to imply that it is temporary from a labor law standpoint in a broad sense, but it also, under labor laws, keeps you from having to pay out any vacation or earned sick time at the time of layoff or furlough. If you are if you are furloughing them and you would offer earned vacation time or earned sick time, if you lay them off under labor law, you have to pay that at the time of departure, okay, and pay out those benefits. If you furlough them, you do not have to pay that. So that is a key difference there, okay, and is important to keep in mind if you are offering any level of benefits. I know we have stores of all different shapes and sizes in here that offer different kinds of benefits and so that is a key terminology difference that the labor lawyer wanted to make sure we had clear there. Hang on one second, I just want to make sure that there was something else that he said that I want to, might require the glasses. Hang on one second. Just want to make sure that I am not leaving anything out there. If you shut down and you have salaried employees under most labor law in most states, if they worked a partial week and they were salary, you have to pay their full salary. So, for example, if you laid off on Wednesday or furloughed on Wednesday and you had and it was a salaried employee, in most cases, in most states, you have to pay their full salary for the week. Versus if they didn't work, you wouldn't have to pay anything. If they were just regular hourly employees, they do not have to be paid when they don't work. There's no legal obligation to let employees use vacation or sick time when a business temporarily shuts down because of this. And that is up to the employer. If you have employees working remotely or off the clock, remotely doing anything for you while your business is shut down, you have them doing emails, you have them doing other things, be careful about timekeeping record requirements for that so that you are actually paying them so you don't end up with a labor claim later on. was a big concern of theirs. In the labor laws, no, it doesn't affect whether they can collect unemployment, furlough versus layoff carry. And if you have people working remotely, you can't, as a business, shift expenses onto them. So you can't. So, for example, let's say they were using their personal cell phone to answer company calls, like you forwarded the store phone to a person's personal cell phone, and it exceeded their minutes. So that would be a company expense, for example, which I think most of us would take it as that anyways. But you can't have them incurring expenses to do their job from home, is the short version from a labor law standpoint. And lastly, hang on a second, let me make sure I'm reading this in yellow. And you don't have to, and if you decide to continue health insurance payments and such, which the government really wants you to do, there's going to be some additional incentive. I should have further clarification. I have another meeting tomorrow on that. I'm trying to get further clarification on that because they're really trying to get the health insurance companies on board with some of this. You can do that. Yes, I will be talking about that, Jennifer. Pay it and suck it up, Michelle, for lack of a better term right now. Keep in mind that if you pay every other week, for example, your health insurance premium should be based on the annual divided by 26 payrolls, not 12 months. So is one of the things with that. So you could be, depending on where you are in the year, you could be behind or ahead in that, in collecting that. So we will cover more of that. I'm continuing. The states and the insurance commissioners are really after the insurance companies to do more to help offset and to do something for companies on that. There's just not a definition of what that's going to be yet. On that same topic of companies looking to do something but not set is the other thing that I've been asked a lot about on the side, and I'm going to get into the meat of what you want to know about on the rehiring and the payroll and all that stuff in just one second. But the other, while I recall it, is the other thing that I've been asked about, and I have a call on tomorrow afternoon, is a lot of people have asked, will the credit card processors waive fees or defer fees or anything during this time, because a lot of people are running short on cash, and the first is coming, second, when all those monthly fees come out. So there's a couple things with that. Your actual processor, okay, whether it's priority payments, payment logistics, first data, whoever they are, okay, most of the money you pay every month does not go to them. Only a very small portion of it goes to them. Okay, most of it goes to the card associations, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, etc. Okay, so while your processor may be able to do something for you, won't be much unless the card associations do something. And I have a call on that tomorrow. The card associations are discussing it, but there is nothing final, definite, or like in agreement about that. But they know that they could be heading to the first of the month and have a lot of insufficient funds when they go to hit. The other side of that is, keep in mind, you have in your head the large amount that normally comes out of your account. Everyone's volume is way down. So the amount that would normally come out of your account and the amount that's going to come out of your account are far different. So so that is on the agenda. It's something I have a call on tomorrow. I'm totally in a fog on what day it is, but I think my call on that's tomorrow. That I have a call with the card industry about those topics because I know it's important to you guys. So now let's talk about the big part of this bill that really affects everyone that employs people, okay, or anybody, any of us. Do any of us have under 500 employees? Anybody with more than 500 employees? How about anybody with under 500 employees? Hit the like button so that I know that I have some people that I'm talking to on here. that you're still with me. Nobody's still with me? I guess I should go. Maybe I should refill my scotch. Ah, there's a like button. All right. Thank you. Uh-oh, angry face. That had to be the wrong button. I do that too sometimes. Oh, no, there's the angry face again. Who have I made upset? I'm not here to make anybody upset. I'm just here to tell the truth. And I keep on seeing that's got to be close on somebody's phone, or somebody's been home eating cupcakes too much. Okay, has somebody been eating Jennifer's cupcakes too much that they keep on hitting the angry face button? That's all. I'm seeing that keep on popping up on my screen. I think somebody's had too many cupcakes. Take Brad away. No more cupcakes for Brad. So let's talk about the CARE Act. Okay, with the provisions for payroll. Okay, because one of the key provisions in this is direct money for you. Yes, Julie, I'm very glad you don't have 500 employees. I'm glad, I mean, I think of one of my mentors in business, and he always, he ran a big chain, and he was always like, stay small. He remembers when Cassandra and I first started, and he just always told me to stay small, stay small. And, but I don't do anything small. I'm a big guy, and I do things bigger. I'm not 500 employees yet. I don't have a forklift driver in my warehouse, but I acknowledge that someday I might. One of my other mentors told me, and I talked to him today, actually. He was like, never be on more than 2 boards at a time. And I sit on more than 2 boards. And I've never had as much work as I do now, but part of it is really great now because I'm so connected to so much accurate information versus what's out there. So I'm really honored to be able to do that and to be able to share it. So let's talk about this. So this is going to be quick money that comes. I mean, they're talking, the SBA has to implement this within 15 days, okay, the payroll provision, the payroll loan grant provision. They have to implement that within 15 days, have it ready to go out to their network of SBA lenders. It'll be administered and money doled out by any SBA lender. And so what does that mean in reality? That probably means, Alan, how are you? I've been thinking about you and Mike and hiding on the beach. I'm so glad you're here tonight. It is about, so it's designed to get the money out quick. It's also designed, again, back to relationships, okay? It is designed in such a way that they expect, and just based on my own relationships, I expect banks that you have a relationship with, not as much the big guys, although Congress really hopes the big guys play a role in this, but they really hope that your community banks and people that you have an ongoing long-term relationship with, okay, make bridge loans in advance of this. So as soon as this is signed, that they start making bridge loans to carry people over in the short run, knowing that this money is coming in. Sort of like what H&R Block does with tax refunds, where they know how much your tax refund is going to be, and they give you cash that day. They are hoping that the community banks who know you, trust you, and want to see you succeed in business will make quick bridge loans, okay, with minimal paperwork, knowing that, okay, when this money comes in from the government, that they're going to get it, okay? So what kind of money does that mean? And this is a key part of the provision. It is an average of 2.5 months of your payroll. Okay, 2.5 months of your payroll. So we're going to try to keep this to simple math for a second. Okay, so if your payroll was $10,000 a month, I know I should have the pink calculator here for you, but I did not get the pink calculator out. It's sitting on my desks to keep everything going when I'm actually talking to you one-on-one. So 2.5 months payroll. So if your payroll is $10,000 a month or $120,000 a year, okay, they would be giving you $25,000 as initially as a loan, okay? If the provisions are met, okay, which almost all of us here will meet most of the provisions, or to get the full tax credit, okay, they will grant you 20 of the $25,000 that they give you will turn into a grant, okay, that you do not have to pay back, okay? That's really important because that's not getting enough play in the news media, okay? The fact that all this money is going to be going in and greasing the system is important, okay? But that little percent of it, 5,000 out of the 25,000, would be a loan. So that's really important to know that you're going to end out owing that, okay? And not forget that. So whatever that is, so whatever your average payroll is, and they're using the past year from February to February 1st. So February 1 to January 31 of 19 is what they're using for their number. And you're able to include all associated payroll costs with that, including taxes, in that calculation, and insurance and benefit premiums. So if you provide health insurance, I provide life and disability insurance, any of those things that you provide, you're allowed to use in the calculation, and they will use in that to calculate that amount. Whoops, I hit the wrong button here. Oops, you're back. Okay, I thought I was hitting comment. When I'm doing it on my Surface here, the things don't scroll up right. So I know lots of people have been having scrolling problems. So I know I'm not alone with scrolling, besides the fact that I don't live enough. Well, I've been doing it a lot lately. Okay, so now I'm missing your questions right now, but we'll try to get them back. So that's real important. The dates, Jennifer, are February 1st, 2019 through January 31st, 2020 is the payroll dates. Okay? The other key part that's real important in this, that a lot of us, because remember, so many of you earlier, when I asked what you're grateful for, you mentioned your employees, your team, okay, that you're grateful for. And what did you already do because of your team? You kept them on the payroll longer than the business justified it, okay? And that will come to your advantage. So the payback period, okay, or the calculation for that of reemployment, this isn't reemployment on the day, okay, that you take the money. This is including periods where you've already employed it. It starts on February 16th, counting the weeks of employment and what levels of employment you're doing. So a lot of you already have a month of the 8 weeks that you'll be getting accounted for. There'll also be a payroll tax deferral, and the final version of that, hopefully tomorrow I'll have that, okay, where you're able to defer all your federal payroll taxes for the rest of the year, plus there's going to be some additional credits with that. So there's really a huge chunk of money that's coming to you, and it's coming to you on an express train, especially with the fact that, many of us have met that period of time, already have a huge chunk of the period of time that you need for repayment. You'll likely, depending on how quickly we get out of this, and I hope to have an idea of that tomorrow, a better idea. I know what President Trump is talking about, and he wants to start this country back up quick. I should have a better idea tomorrow regionally. I have one of my meetings tomorrow includes the governor giving us a confidential update on when he sees things lifting bans in the state, which is going to be a key indicator because businesses in Massachusetts, for example, are closed through April 7th, non-essential businesses. And in Massachusetts, we were banned from even doing curbside pickup. So easing any restrictions, and he just delayed schools until May 4th in Massachusetts. So all public schools are closed till May 4th. And so there's going to be information. We're going to get a report to the retail community from the governor tomorrow on that. Well, confidential report to the board of directors of the retail association that I sit on. So I'm on that board, and I should have some information on that tomorrow on that. The other part of what you can use this money for, so this money can be used in the calculations, salaries, commissions, or any compensation, payments of interest on mortgage obligations, rent, lease agreements payment, utilities, and interest on any other debt obligations incurred before the covered period. So prior to February 15th. So this is really very good for us. The actual math and calculation on the payback period and everything, the goal is really from a federal government period is to get people employed back by the end of June, or a lot of your payroll back by the end of June. So we'll see where that is on that. Yeah, I'm blocked. The last thing was on Jennifer's. Can you repeat the dates? Okay. You want to read it? I at least want to read them to see if can I read them or not? See, I'm not in this alone. I got people. Yeah, they will use an abbreviated period if you haven't been open for a year. Includes owner's health insurance premiums, yes. Yes. Payroll amounts average include owner amounts. Yes, it would include the owner's amounts for payroll if you are on the payroll, and you should be on the payroll. But that's a separate conversation and a totally separate presentation that I do on that. Because if you don't value you, who is going to put a price on you? But that's a whole separate presentation. Businesses without employees, there is the gig economy, and it's going to be based on your income last year. So if you didn't claim an income, that's going to be problematic. But I expect some clarification on that as well. I will work on getting that. Owners filing unemployment. Yes, you can file unemployment if you are an owner and you were on the payroll and you paid in. Under this bill and how it considers the quote-unquote gig economy, if you are not an employee, and even if you haven't paid in to unemployment, if you had income, so if your business 1099 you income, okay, or pass-through income from an LLC, yes, you would be able to claim under this in a first of a time filing unemployment, but you have to be showing income to be able to do that, and not everyone does that. And yes, time that has already passed. So you're looking at the February 16th forward. So the people that you've kept on the payroll since then is what's going to be key into what you've already made as part of this. So discussed is a loose term. Okay, so is the payroll grant still, it has passed the Senate. It will pass the House tomorrow. They are using some procedures to ensure that it passes and that they don't need all 430 something of them to say aye to it. Okay, it will pass on a voice vote and the nays won't be heard, and this will pass tomorrow. This has so many things that both Democrats and Republicans agree on and want to get through. Is it a perfect bill? No, there is no such thing as a perfect bill, but there's a lot of concern on Capitol Hill for several things. One, they know the American people are hurting, okay, and people are very nervous about the pocketbooks and the whole American economy, and they clearly understand how small business affects that and affects and rolls into the whole community. So they get it, okay? There's also the concern is as people with the virus numbers go up, that members of Congress, their staffs, etc., could be placed into quarantine, and the more level-headed of the bunch could be placed in quarantine and not able to vote or work on this if this goes on too long. and you could have some of the extremes of either parties doing this bill. And if you think bill is bad with the people that are working on it, try it with some of the extremes working on it. If you end it out in a reduced government position and just a limited quorum position. So there's a lot of things with that. It's a very fast-moving issue on Capitol Hill. I have been in contact constantly with different people involved directly with the legislation. So it is a fast-moving, not perfect, but has so many good things happening in this that it is going to be good for the country. So, and it is ultimately going to be good for our businesses and really get us to the other side. So that is so important. Yes, owners, especially if you can work behind the and not be seen, sure, you can collect. Okay, there's going to be some latitude to some of this. Quite honestly, on some of it is if you need forgiveness later for the volunteer work you did in your store and you have to pay it back later, but it bridges you through by applying. I'm not going to tell you not to do it or to do it, but understand that somebody could claw it back from you later if they could make a strong enough case that you shouldn't have got it because you were employed and working. So just keep that in mind. I know that unemployment insurance is the quickest way to get some money in your pocket. And I also know that most of you are not as worried about your own pocket. You're foregoing your own personal payments, your own mortgage, your own car payments, your own other things to make sure your team is paid, to make sure your rent is paid, to make sure your consignors are paid. So I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm just making you educated about what could happen on the flip side with that down the road.
Someone read online that if your business does any business while you furlough your employees, the owner cannot claim since the business would have some income.
That be very careful about all that you're reading online right now. There's a lot of misinformation about it. Okay, there's a lot of businesses that run on autopilot. Just because a business has income, has revenue, does not mean anyone was working on it. Think of all the software companies that are working that have things on automatic download. The courses that are online that you can take that are recorded a long time ago. That doesn't mean that it paid for anything but the software platform or the rent for the building where it was happening or anything else. It doesn't mean it paid anyone right now to do the work. So again, be aware that you could have a clawback situation if they had enough against you. Is what I make warning on for you, but I understand why you would be looking to do that in the short run.
In order to file for unemployment as a business owner, and a business owner who passes through income from various personal taxes,
that would be correct. For 2018, it would be your 2018 claiming. And keep in mind, a lot of the unemployment systems aren't updated for this yet. And the bill won't actually be signed, okay, that's supporting all this. The extras for unemployment, probably till Friday or Saturday, okay? It will pass the House tomorrow. It will pass the House tomorrow. There's nothing I am getting from anyone that is dealing right on the Hill that this will not pass tomorrow. It will pass the House. Whether somebody walks it over and sticks it in front of the president tomorrow or he signs it Saturday morning okay, but you also have to keep in mind that your state is not set up for this. They know what's coming. They know the train that's coming their way, and they know they're going to get the money back from the federal government. But like a lot of unemployment, the states aren't set up for this yet. They will quickly adapt, okay? But a lot of the stuff in their online forms for applying and everything else won't apply, but get your application in once this is signed.
Previous employees who left in December got laid off from her new job.
Yes.
Will she be able to collect unemployment off the?
It's a 15 in most areas. It's a 15-month look back on unemployment. So if somebody was employed for you in December, left you in December to take another job and is now unemployed for that job, yes, it will look at you, but there there is legislation that's coming behind this, okay, to fix it so that you are not dinged for the unemployment claims that are coming through because of the CARES Act, okay, and because of what's happened right now. So the legislation will look something along unemployment claims created between this date and this date, whatever that date range is. It will probably be between February and June or something, depending on how long this goes. But new unemployment claims that come in that time will be exempt, will be something like that from the legislation that can't ding your insurance, so it won't increase your rates. That is very important. It's across all businesses, everybody, and every state. So they will pass legislation. It is not part of the CARE Act as it sits right now, but it is the legislation that is coming behind it, and there is broad agreement on that from all groups. Nobody wants to deal with it. Will we be repaying this money? That is a broad question, okay? The American taxpayer, in some form or fashion, money doesn't come out of thin air no matter how much people want to do it. The last I heard from an overall economic standpoint is this will be money that gets invented in thin air and will get eaten up in the economy through natural marginal inflation and stuff. Is the last version on that I've heard of, because nobody's too concerned about that. $1 trillion. So $1 trillion. Let's talk about $1 trillion for a second. But before I talk about what $1 trillion is, let me talk about what for sure, as of right now, you will be paying back. When you get the payroll loan, okay, that's part of this stimulus, they're giving you 2.5 months. Only 2 months of that is going to convert to a grant. So that half month. So in the example I gave, if your payroll is $10,000 a month, okay, and so they're going to give you 2.5 months. They're going to give you $25,000. Okay, 20,000 of that's going to convert to a grant. 5,000 is going to stay as a loan. Don't forget that part of it. It's something that's getting lost in this when people are just getting this quote unquote money. The other part of it is I want to put money into perspective for you for a second, because I mean, none of these people, the government doesn't have a concept of what $1 trillion is, except for, the guy in the Federal Reserve that's got to add it to the computer, he's just got to make sure he's got enough zeros in there when he adds it in. Okay, but when you talk $1 trillion, so many of these businesses, a lot of businesses on here, that are members, $100,000 is a lot a year in sales. Okay, and so you have a concept of that. Other businesses in here have a concept of $1 million. So I thought I would take for a second and talk about $1 billion. Okay, that's almost, when you're talking about a couple of $1 trillion, $1 billion, okay, is almost a conceivable amount of money. You're $1 billion, I'm gonna, even in this bill, I'm gonna give $300 billion for that, $100 billion there. $1 billion sounds like a lot. Well, does anybody know how much 1 billion seconds is? Does anybody have a guess on 1 billion seconds? Am I getting any comments on that? No comments on 1 billion seconds, and you can't Google it. You could pin calculator it, but you can't Google it. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. 32 years is 1 billion seconds. Okay? So, take that into $1 trillion. I mean, it's an inconceivable amount of money, okay? But it is what this economy needs right now, so it doesn't come to a full stop. It is not a perfect bill. It is the right bill for right now. And we need that right now to get America back to work and to get things on the economy. You got to keep in mind that Congress, like I've talked about the last couple of nights, is walking around. I wish I had a spray bottle. You have a spray bottle? I don't have a spray bottle. Air freshener or anything? Hang on a second. I need a prop. I'm much better with a prop. Aren't I better with a prop? That's the whole idea behind the pink calculator. Hang on a second. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. I'm going to get you. Huh? Clean linen. That is perfect because that is totally like what the government wants. Okay. This is stimulus. That is what the government is doing, is spraying stimulus all over the economy. Okay? They're spraying the virus. Okay? But that doesn't fix the virus. So that is the unknown part of all this. By everything I read and everybody that I am talking to, both on economically and on Capitol Hill, this dragged out more than a quarter, okay, that becomes problematic, and they're definitely going to have to go back to the well, okay, and come up with some other level of stimulus. Yes?
Can you take just for 2 months, not 2.5?
That is unclear at this point whether you can. The question was, can you take just the 2 months that'll convert to a grant, not the 2.5? You probably can take the 2.5 and pay the half back right away, is probably what you're going to be able to do. Because the system is going to be set up so quickly, okay? The SBA system for this is going to be put together so very quickly, it's not going to be set up for much variation. It's going to be set up to make this happen and make it happen quickly, get money into the system quickly.
Do you have an estimated what the interest rate would be on that 0.5%?
It'll be under 4%. The guidelines to the SBA is the interest rate cannot exceed 4%.
Where do you find?
It will be through your SBA. The SBA will be administering it through any place that you can get an SBA loan, but it is not available. The SBA has to have the procedures available and ready to get the loan within 15 days from the bill signing. Okay, the SBA has to have it road ready in 15 days. My guess is, again, all indications are that once the bill is signed, the SBA will get to work on getting the procedures out to their lenders and putting that together. So I'll have more information about that in the coming days. I'll have more information next week, likely. And I'll be able to get that directly from my contacts at the SBA. But keep in mind that a lot of banks, that the expectation is that a lot of banks will do very quick bridge loans. Like, you know, if you've had a long-term relationship with your bank, especially the smaller the bank they are, the more likely they are to get it because they have easy access to Fed money. The Fed's been greasing the system with money so that there's money. So the expectation is that banks will help, like H&R Block does with a tax refund, that they will do very quick loans, like a anticipation loan, with very little paperwork, and on the basis of that, when your money comes in from the government, that they get it, okay, and so they get paid back very quickly. So that is the expectation of what will happen. And it'll be handled somewhat like that in many cases, not every case, but in many cases, so that this money gets into the system very, very quickly.
So this is a separate application in the disaster.
This is completely separate from the disaster loan, totally separate from the SBA disaster loan, and is independent and does not prevent you from taking an SBA disaster loan. This is completely and totally separate from that. And so that will be coming. But that is the expectation of how it will be handled. I expect really to have more details on the actual handling of it next week because the SBA honestly hasn't figured out all the details, and they have 15 days from signing. They're working on it now, trust me. They're working on figuring out the details. But they have 15 days from the day this is signed to get procedures out to the SBA lenders all over the country. The SBA banks that already have a relationship with them all over the country, and to get the money flowing.
What happens if you take these loans and your business does not bounce back?
There is supposed to be, on this loan, okay, there is supposed to be no clawback, okay, and not handled against you personally unless you committed fraud in it, okay? So you produce documents that says your payroll is $1 million a month, okay? And your payroll is only $1,000 a month, okay? So you fraudulently create documents to bolster your payroll that is incorrect, But other than fraud, there's supposed to be no clawback. This is supposed to be quick money into the system. Again, it's about, they know there's going to be fraud, that they have no clawback. They know that there are businesses that will not succeed. They aren't in this group, because we're going to get you all to the other side together. We're all marching right through this. We're going to march right through this virus. We're going to go right through it. We're going to go through to the other side, because you're not alone running this store, and we're going to get you to the other side. So I'm pulling all of you. This is the biggest tug rope, or I'm going to work on an analogy here. It's been a long day, people. It's really been a long day, but I will. They know that there are people that there are cases where this will not get paid back, and they are aware of that. And as long as there wasn't fraud, you're not on the hook for it.
Yeah, I've heard that $600 a month will be added to those receiving unemployment notices.
It's $600 a week, actually, that will be added from now to the end of July, that will be added to unemployment checks. I did cover that earlier in the presentation. But they have to come, and that's got a lot of businesses up in arms because of the way it's being advertised on TV with the talking heads, although I think I'm becoming a talking head at this point. The way it's being handled on the TV, it has a lot of businesses like, why would anybody come back to work for me? Well, if they don't come back to work for you when you call them back to work, okay, their unemployment stops. Okay, so that's why they'll come back to work for you. The goal is to grease the economy and get people back to work sooner, not later. So that is the goal.
So if we file unemployment as owner as part of this new SBA loan to the state?
You file unemployment as always with the state. State administers unemployment.
As owner, though, you can still file.
Yes, but if you're not a corporation, you can't file until the bill is passed and the states have time to update. You can it'll backdate, okay, to the bill's signing, but you can't do it until the states are ready for it and the bill is actually law, which is not happened yet, but it is going to happen as I am telling you about it, because Nancy Pelosi and her people are all on board. They will vote yes for this, and it will pass the House tomorrow. President Trump will sign it. I can assure you that. I was told, God's honest truth, okay, as supporter of as when I was asked, I was called and asked to speak on behalf of the bill, okay, and to pledge my support on behalf of the bill. I was told, and they're on the phone with the White House as they're asking me this, okay, I was told I did not have to go and kiss Donald Trump for signing the bill, but I did have to pledge my support for the bill as it is, and not question its weaknesses. It does have weaknesses. It's not perfect, but this is what businesses need. This is what the country needs, and it needs it now. It can't wait for another week of arguments about it.
Reiterate, this is a separate application with the SBA disaster.
Yes, this application that will be coming for payroll relief, okay, that'll be based on payroll, is completely and totally separate from the SBA disaster loan, and will be incredibly simpler than that, okay? Will be incredibly streamlined. That's where they acknowledge the fraud portion, because it will be incredibly streamlined to get money in quickly. Okay, so it will likely have money in your account before you even hear about the SBA loan and your application status on that. Okay. Just be honest, and it'll happen. I will have more information. It should be next week on the actual application and getting that through. But I expect, especially for those of you that deal with community banks, once this is approved, you will start seeing your community banks reach out to you saying, okay, how do I help you? Do you need the money now? We will bridge you, much like H&R Block does with their tax refund anticipation loans. It's going to be that kind of process where it is very, very quick.
So we're an LLC. Is that qualified for owner to take unemployment?
It will. An LLC will qualify to take unemployment under the bill once the bill is passed. Okay, but you're going to have to give your state a little time to get updated to be able to pay you on that. So it's going to be a little slower than somebody that is an S corp claiming unemployment, or just your employees claiming unemployment. But it will allow you to claim unemployment because they know that you're shut down.
When will the
Probably in reality about 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks. But yeah. So I was just asked, when will employees start seeing the extra $600? Again, it'll be signed this weekend. It'll be effective. And whenever they start seeing it, they'll see it retroactive. So if it's 3 weeks from now that they see it, they'll get 3 weeks of $600 extra. Each state will be a little bit different because each state administers their own unemployment, even though this gets reimbursed to them from the federal government. People in Ohio may see it faster than people in Iowa. And that's just a reflection of how efficient or inefficient their states are. Although since Eric's a former government worker here, he may tell us that Iowa is incredibly efficient and they'll get it out faster than any other state.
So this new SBA loan, you said overseas, some rent, etc., and it can do that when you don't have any employees, customer, is it really tied to employees?
It really is tied to employees. This is tied to payroll, okay? So this new SBA money that's separate from the SBA disaster loan is tied to payroll. It's all about payroll. And if you don't have any payroll, this new thing will not apply to you.
When do you have to bring back these employees?
The goal is, and I'll have more information in the coming days, but the real, and part of it I think ultimately will get extended or brought in based on the science. But as it is written now, the goal is for you to have a lot of people back by the end of June. Okay?
This bill doesn't have a specific, but you have to have them back to you.
It doesn't have a specific, the credits to you dwindle the longer it goes by. But those, if the virus is dragging us out longer, those dates will get extended. Okay, is the indication I'm getting. But the way it's written in the bill, maximize credits on the rehire, and I will cover more on rehiring specifically tomorrow and over the weekend on the rehiring part, because I could do a whole thing just on rehiring. But I will cover more of that because there's different things you can do with rehiring, and some of you will be doing them because I've already heard from you, well, I don't want Susie back. I was thrilled to get rid of her. So we will talk about strategies of ways of dealing with that and how that applies to the bill in a future call.
Will you begin paying them even if the state still has a stay-at-home order?
It's stay-at-home order, so this gets into employment law, okay? Stay-at-home is different than shelter-in-place. Stay-at-home is a suggestion, a guidance, okay? It is not mandatory. So this really gets into employment law, and the employment lawyer was very, very clear on this because he wanted to know, he was very clear on it because he wanted to be clear from two perspectives, okay? He wanted to be clear from what you can ask your employees to do. And basically, unless it's a true shelter-in-place order, okay, you can have your employees required to show up to work. Their failure to show up to work, okay, it is the same as a no-call, no-show, okay, and they can be dismissed and not collect unemployment. They can't, the fear of them getting the virus, okay, is not an acceptable thing unless there is a shelter-in-place, okay, mandatory shelter-in-place order. So that the employment lawyer was very clear on. He's also very clear on that all the guidance, okay, all the things that you have read about, what to wipe down, what to touch, what to do, what to have your employees wearing, gloves, no gloves, how you handle things, all of that is guidance. It is not a government requirement, okay? And since it is not a government requirement, you don't have to do those things. Those are guidance, okay? And you can't be held liable for an unemployment claim because you did it, or a workman's comp claim because of it. The employment lawyer was extremely specific about going into that, and so that if there, in the absence of a true government-mandated shelter in place, okay, which there are some areas of the country that do have that, okay, you can, all the other things are government guidance, and he was very, very clear about that.
Full-time only employees, or does it matter?
It's they pretty much anybody's gonna. They're really trying to grease the wheels. People are going to get that $600. Anybody's going to get that $600. People are. I mean, they're putting a lot of money into the economy. But the idea is that's going to be very, very temporary. While it can go as far as the end of July, the idea is that they're getting you back to open sooner than that, and they will be called back to work and pulled off the unemployment roll. Okay, and if they choose to stay on it, that is their choice, but not something that you are mandating, and they will not be able to collect that. So that is very, very clear in this.
Explain that again. So what's the benefit of employee if they get the extra 600 and all this stuff? Why would they want to come back?
Because why would an employee want to come back to work? Because if they don't come back to work when they're called, they don't get the money. They don't continue to get the money. They drop off the unemployment rolls because you have called them back to work, and they can't collect it. Okay, so then it becomes a no call, no show, and they do not qualify to receive the unemployment benefits. That is the whole idea, is to get America back to work.
Again, if you have an LLC filed or not filed?
If you have an LLC, you can't file yet. You will be able to file probably by the end of next week. If not sooner, you will be able to file, but I will continue to update information as I have it on that. But the bill's got to get passed, and each state's got to update their systems to be able to handle it, and they've never had to handle this before.
So they will get 600 even as a part-time employee.
I'm not. Yes, they will get $600 even as a part-time employee. So people are going to be initially making more money than they were before. Okay, I'm not advocating the political correctness or not political correctness of this, okay, but this is designed as a short-term infusion of money into the economy and ultimately to get everybody back working. Yes, an S Corp is absolutely okay to file. You're okay to file now if you're not working. Okay. Well, then I'm going to wrap up with something good. Hang on. We always wrap with something good. Hang on. I need my glasses.
How will this be policed? You ask them to come back to work and you don't. Who reports that information?
You report it to your state unemployment office if you ask them to come back to work and they don't. Just like you would now on any normal employee.
Right, but I'm still paying my employees now, and I'm wondering why their extra pay isn't off. Sometimes it's beneficial to them to lay off or to get them on and continue to pay off.
It depends on if they're working. If you have them working, if you're paying them and you have them working, then there's no reason to lay them off. If you have them sitting at home, then yes, furloughing them is not necessarily a bad idea. If you're on the payroll of your regular corporation, you can be filing for unemployment if you are not working. Yes, you can, and you can, and you don't have to have a reason over Susie versus Sally. What? I'm sorry.
Haven't been open enough. Can you keep someone employed on payroll if there's others that have on the payroll?
Yes.
I haven't been open enough because I'm qualified unless they will produce some employees.
Yes, you can keep some employees on payroll. Yes, that's fine.
What about all those filing expenses?
You should be able to file, but that you'll probably have to wait till next week when the states update their systems. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk Dove chocolate tonight. What do we got here? Hang on, I need my glasses. Well, my first one is, you got this. You do. You guys totally got this. We're going to totally get there together. And don't forget that life happens in between the inhale and the exhale. Those are my Dove chocolate words of wisdom tonight. This has been a long night, so I'm going to save you a story time tonight. But I've got great stories coming up. I'm thinking tomorrow, my big dog. Because nobody sent me a new Dr. Seuss rhyme tonight. But if you send me a new Dr. Seuss rhyme, I'm happy to do that. Remember, you can find me, and I will answer all your questions. I have several sitting in my inbox that I have not gotten to from yesterday or today. And I am reachable at Neil, N-E-I-L, at ECIstores.com. Neil, N-E-I-L, at ECIstores.com. You know how to find me on Facebook. Most of you have my phone number. Reach out to me because you You, I'm talking about you, are not alone running this store. You can catch the replay of this and the videos Melissa and Julie have done on the YouTube channel, Not Alone Running This Store. I hope to see you here again tomorrow night at 8. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a great night.